Welcome to the What the Gurus podcast for this September 21st, 2022, the last day of summer. This is your tropical update for the North American basin, the Atlantic Caribbean basin. We're going to be looking specifically starting with Major Hurricane Fiona, Category 4, and then we'll be looking at the other two storms that we have currently in development as we speak. Right now, we're going to look at the currently infrared picture of the Hurricane Fiona as it pulls away from the Turks and Caicos now. It's currently about maybe 700 miles. As of this morning, it was 700 miles southwest of Bermuda, its next destination, as it's going to pass to the west, 120 nautical miles to the west-northwest of Bermuda. But right now, it is pulling away. Conditions are improving in Dominican Republic and Puerto Rico, obviously, and in Turks and Caicos as well. And the eye looks like it's going through an eye wall replacement cycle. Winds are still holding at 130 miles an hour. Sustained winds, Category 4 on the Saffir-Simpson scale. Heavy, deep convection in the northwest quadrant and the northeast quadrant of the storm as well. And great fanning outflow, high cirrus clouds fanning outward. Beautiful structure here for the system all around. Now, let me give you its current positioning and current central pressure. Pressure is very low, 937 millibars. Movement north at 8 miles an hour. So it has slowed down somewhat, but the movement is moving at a moderate clip, 7 knots or 8 miles an hour. Now, looking at the forecast cone, not much has changed with that. It's pretty much following the subtropical ridge on the western periphery of that Bermuda high. And as it does so, Bermuda will feel the effects of the hurricane beginning late Thursday night. It will get tropical storm winds with some gusts to hurricane force, maybe around 95, 90 miles an hour. Nothing that they hadn't seen before or can't handle. The good news is the system will be accelerating as it passes Bermuda, so it will move by very fast as a major hurricane. And so seas will be rough. You don't want to be out there swimming or anything. Seas inside the reef are projected to be anywhere from 6 to 10 feet. Outside of the 25 nautical mile zone, reef zone of Bermuda, seas will be very high, 30 to 45 feet on Thursday night to Friday morning. After that, things can improve dramatically as the storm races up northward toward Newfoundland and Prince Edward Island in the Canadian Maritimes, where it can make a second landfall again, or this will be a fourth landfall actually, of this system as a hurricane, a Category 2 hurricane, possibly with winds in 100 miles an hour or so, or 90 miles an hour, which is unprecedented for this time of year. So that's just a little update on Fiona. Now, looking at the water vapor structure, nothing ahead. Everything is looking good ahead of it. For some more additional strengthening here in the middle passage as it heads up the Gulf Stream. Winds are projected to get to 140 miles an hour out in the open Atlantic between Bahamas and Bermuda as it continues its track up the Gulf Stream. And then, of course, it'll make that turn to the northeast, to the north and northwest, north and northeast, once it gets past Bermuda. So that's what Fiona is doing right now. As well. As a clear defined eye, the eye is about maybe 10 to 20 nautical miles across, and it was clear, but now some has filled in a little bit with some central dense overcast CDO cloud there as well. Now we have Invest 98L, which is south of Trinidad, coming through Trinidad and the lower Caribbean Sea basin there. It's very scattered and disorganized right now. There's heavy wind shear affecting it right now, and that's why it's breaking apart, but that's forecast to subside. All the winds, the sea surface temperatures are absolutely warm in this area. You're looking at 86 degrees, 85 degrees, even 87 degrees south of Jamaica, and that's why this is going to intensify, and this is going to become probably our next named storm, which is going to be Hermine, because we already have Gaston here. I'm going to go back and show you Gaston, which is just a sea storm. Tropical storm Gaston winds to 65 miles an hour, heading toward the Azores. So some of the Azores may get some rain out of this thing, and it'll just be a fish storm for the mariners to worry about. But it is a tropical storm, a formidable one, a strong tropical storm with 65 mile an hour winds, pressure down to 1,000 millibars, and moving very fast to the northeast at 16 miles an hour. So Gaston is gone. The next storm we have is Hermine, and that's, like I said, that western tropical wave down there, down by Trinidad, approaching Trinidad, Aruba, and the ABC Islands, Aruba, Bonaire, and Curacao. And it's at a low latitude, but apparently it's going to develop within 5 days. It has a 90% chance of development. So once it gets into the Caribbean, and south of Jamaica, all interest south of Jamaica, say Jamaica, Cayman Islands, Cuba, Western Cuba, interest in there as well. And then the Gulf Coast eventually by next Friday, but about 7 to 9 days out. So look out, because this system, Hermine, ironically, Hermine was a storm that hit the Gulf Coast a couple years ago, about 5 or 6 years ago, and that went into the Tallahassee, Florida area and the Gulf, Panama City, Florida area. So with this system, Hermine, which will likely get a name probably by tomorrow or late tomorrow, it'll be Hermine. Once it gets into the Caribbean Sea, nothing to stop it. It's warm water, no wind shear. So this will be developing quite rapidly into a Category 1 or Category 2 hurricane once it gets up into the Gulf and past the Bay of Campeche and all of that. And then it's just a matter of where the steering currents are, whether it goes into Florida or into Louisiana or some point westward. So keep a lookout for that as well. And we definitely want to mention the 98L. Doesn't look like much now, but once the tropical wave passes the islands, it will continue to grow, and there's a high confidence that it will strengthen into something very formidable come next Friday, possibly a Category 3, just like Fiona. So Fiona will continue to make its march. Cates and Caicos failed well. I should say no fatalities, just a few trees down and power outages, nothing too crazy considering they did have, part of the Turks and Caicos did have hurricane force winds. Of course, Dominican Republic and Puerto Rico, our prayers are with them as they clean up the flooding. Some bridges were knocked out and stuff. But overall, there were no fatalities with Fiona, and this is absolutely great, considering that, it came over Puerto Rico as a Category 1, 85 miles an hour, then it grew from there. But still, for Dominican Republic and Puerto Rico, that is significant. We are counting our blessings there, and Wales, Turks, and Caicos. Next up, Bermuda should be fine. We don't anticipate too many power outages. A couple of tree limbs down, like I said, because they are going to get some Cat 1 gusts, but nothing too substantial as they're fortified to build. This houses are fortified to stand Category 3 or above, most of the houses. So this is your tropical update. Once again, we do have some other disturbances behind Gaston and the Hermine, which is going to get a name tomorrow. We have a disturbance that's get a 30% chance well east of the Cape Verde Islands, maybe about 300 miles west-southwest of Cape Verde Islands. It's given a 30% chance of development. It's going to have a hard time because of upwelling following the other tropical wave. And there's one just coming off the Gambia and Senegal now in about next 2 days. It's been given a 50% chance of development over 5 days. So that one looks much healthier here as we look at the satellite. That next wave looks much healthier there. Could be our next storm, which would be ABCDEFGHI. It'd be an I name storm, whatever that is on the list. I have to check it. And the Eastern Pacific looks quiet. There is one development that's given a 70% chance of development. But most of these storms that come off from the Eastern Pacific off the coast of Mexico usually just go out to sea and then they cool out unless they're going to affect Cabo San Lucas, Mexico, and stuff like that. But these generally have a western flow to it and generally doesn't bother anybody. Pacific, Central Pacific looks great. Hawaii looks great. Clear skies, sunny conditions out there, and they should be having a good time as well. So this has been your tropical update for September 21st, 2022 by the Weather Guru Tony. Please be sure to subscribe. We have a Patreon too. If you search for the Patreon, there's more in-depth analysis of this tropical weather in the Patreon, the Weather Guru. Search it if you're into those kind of things. Okay, be blessed. I'll talk to you very soon on the next update around tonight at 8 p.m. or later on as the Hurricane Center and everybody dictates what goes on. Thank you very much. I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.